What's good, YouTube? It's me, your boy Squiddy again. Back again with another one of the videos. You guys already know I had that video on MST's channel about how I went 9-2 at the YCS. Did not top, sadly, because of bad tiebreakers. So, today, I've been playing a little bit more Zoodiac. I wanted to show you guys my updated build and little changes that I've made so far. Without further ado, let's get into the deck. Mostly a bit of minor changes here and there. For the most part, the deck is still the same, but a little bit of changes. 3 Ram, 3 Thoroughblade. Again, turn 1, you want to start off with the Thoroughblade, ditch the Ram, summon back Ram, and then make Vespinato, and then you have that board presence. And then that's it. The other zoos are 1 Rapier, 1 Whiptail, and 1 Bunny Blast. People were like, oh my god, you're crazy. You're not playing 3 Whiptail. You can make Zeus with 6 mats. Guys, you never do that. You never, if you have Whiptail in your hand and you summon a zoo, you never ever say, okay, I'm going to overlay my Whiptail to give Zeus another material, because 4 is usually more than enough. If they're getting through your board with 4 Zeus, it's not because you didn't have that extra board wipe, but because they got rid of Zeus some other way, like Triple Tactics Talent or like NTS or something, right? So you always want to have the follow-up monster in your hand to do something. And it never occurs where you have the extra resources that you can use that. So the reason why we only play 1 is because we cut 1 for Bunny Blast. Out of all of these zoos, the only cuttable one was Whiptail. The DD Warrior Lady effect, it doesn't really come up that much. 1200 is okay. Having 1 allows you to either dump it with Rapier or search it off Tenki, so you still have that access. And on top of that, Bunny Blast, what it does is, number 1, it negates spells, so like Widow Anchor. Against the Sky Striker matchup, you can Tide Mortar if you have this in the grave and try to attach it, and then their Widow Anchor is just dead unless they use it there. And if they don't have 3 spells, then you can still keep playing, right? The other thing is when you have Barrage, this card allows you to have infinite barrages. When you summon it up Barrage, you make Shakunan, assuming you have a zoo engraved, you detach, summon back Bunny Blast, and then you crash Bunny Blast into whatever your opponent has. Bunny Blast doesn't say any Zoodiac monster can be added to your hand when it's engraved, but any Zoodiac card, including Barrage. So literally, you crash this, you add back the Barrage, and you literally have a Barrage loop for the rest of the game, especially in those grindier matchups, like you're playing the Tri-Brigade deck and you got to grind. You can literally keep crashing, add back Barrage, you have an extender infinitely. So that's why I played this card. I feel like having this with the Barrage comes up way more than having the second Whiptail. And like having this card in your deck means that anytime you see Barrage, it's essentially a recurring Barrage, assuming you can crash Bunny Blast. So that's it for the zoos. Hand traps, 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, 3 Phantasmate, all very standard. Broken card, very broken card, because everyone's playing Links. Literally every deck except for Virtual World and like maybe like an obscure like Guru deck or something is playing Links. So you guys, you gotta summon this Link. Prank Kids won the YCS. This is literally a pot of greed. It lets you draw 2 cards, digs deeper, and it puts a monster on board. Against Tri-Brigade, like this card's insane. You draw cards, you can draw into more hand traps like Veiler or Nibiru, and you have a 2400 body, so you can survive if they have Access Code Talker. Maybe they don't have enough pops, you know? Like, I've had people that have attacked me for game with Revolt set. They flipped for Revolt and they tried to attack for game, but I have this, so I survived. So, very, very good card. Next, 2 of the Ghost Spells. Still very good, standard. Hits a lot of things. Negates a lot of hand traps, too. You can negate Gamma. You can negate DD Crow, you know? It comes up. And, of course, the Revolt. I added 2 Skullmeister. Why Skullmeister? Because it's literally not dead against any matchup. It's good against like every deck. It's good against Prank Kids, which obviously won the YCS. So now everyone's playing it. It stops Nerval, which is actually like a thing. They don't always have enough monsters, right? You could even stop like a Karas search by having a cross play, by having this to stop their Nerval. It's good against Shaddolls, it's good against a lot of decks. So it's also not once per turn because it's an old hand trap, and it's 1700. So like, yeah, boom. That's a lot of damage. And then last but not least, 1 Crow. Again, wanted to play 3 Crows, so yeah, add the 3rd Crow in there. Honestly, could probably cut it, but it's all right. Spell cards, 3 Desires, busted. 3 Tenki, busted. 3 Cosmic, also quite busted. Again, it's just like a generic 1-for-1. You get a real lot of back row. It's kind of like versus Tri-Brigade if they only have 1 set, like it's similar to Chalice in that it baits it out and, you know, they use their Shurag effect. By the way, this deck absolutely nails Tri-Brigade. Like, it destroys Tri-Brigade, which is why I wanted to play it with YCS, because I thought everyone would be playing Tri-Brigade, but it's almost like a buy. Like, your hand traps stop them. They only have the 2 plays per turn. Like I said in the other video, an MST channel video, they have the Cuirass and the normal summon. If you can stop both with hand traps, like, you're in there. You just make Zeus and you win, right? You simplify the board state. You make a Zeus with like 4 mats, and the game is usually over. Reborn and Barrage. Again, the extenders. This card with Bunny Blast is insane. That's it for the spells. Traps, 3. Solemn Brigade. Insane cards. These cards are good going first and second because you play so many hand traps. You stun them for the turn and then they pass to you. And like all of a sudden these cards are good, right? Because like it's like you're going first because you made them pass their turn. Very high impact. 3 imperm, hand trap / trap. Still good. And then the broken cards, Imperial Order, Macrocosmos. Previously we were playing Dimensional Fissure, but we cut it because it was not that good against a lot of matchups. It's okay against Drytron. It was really only broken against Tri-Brigade. A lot of the other decks, they can kind of like maneuver through it. Like Drytron, their spell doesn't get banished, it goes to grave. Virtual World, they don't care. They send like spells and traps. So like, you know, like this card stops everything, but D-Fissure didn't. So I was like, you know what? D-Fissure is sometimes underwhelming. Let's just cut it and play cards like Skullmeister. That's it for the main deck. Still 44 cards. Kind of excessive. If you guys have any tips or tricks that you've been trying out, let me know in the comments. Let's move on to the extra deck. Ooh, everything's out of order. But 3 Zeus, obviously, standard. You have to play 3 because of grind game, guys. You gotta make Zeus over and over. Sometimes you have 1 Zeus with no materials, and you just attack with Zeus, next turn overlay, and then next turn attack with Zeus and overlay. I've done this, literally overlaid 3 Zeus on top of each other. Sometimes you make Zeus with 3 materials to play around the Biru, and then Zeus is your 4th summon. So what that does is you play around the Biru, next turn you have at least 1 material, and then you attack and you make another Zeus, and then you can have 2 materials under it, because you have another Zoo if you have 3 Zoos, right? So that's very standard. Also played 3 Vespinato. I cut the Link Dude because no one's playing the C card, attacking the C or whatever. Also, this card is very grindy. It comes up a lot. Does Piercing. When it dies, you can special summon any Zoo. If you have Ram Engrave, you summon Ram. Ram summons a Zoo. So on and so forth. And also is generically very good. Turn 1, if you only have 1 Zoo, make sure you do make this with 3 materials. So then on your following turn, you can make a Zeus with 4 materials when you overlay over this, because it can't be overlaid on the turn that you summon it, but on the following turn you can, if that makes sense. Zoo, 2, 2, 2, 3 Jack and 9, very standard. I did try the F-Zero card. It does come up when you have Barrage and you can crash a Ram. All you need is 1 monster or a Zoo to survive, and Ram Engrave. And you can summon a Zoo, special summon back Ram with Chak, crash the Ram, summon the XYZ, and then you, boom, you have format Zeus and the Utopic Dragon feature, but it never came up. I felt like in order to accommodate that, you would have to cut 2 of these, and I felt like the third Chak and 9 came up too much, so that's that. And then side deck, 2 Psycho Reader, playing these because the matchup against Drytron is really bad. So made quite a few changes here. Playing 2 Dimension Shifter, cut 1 of them obviously because I feel like I wanted to make room for this card, and also this card gets kind of dead sometimes when you draw it as your 6 or draw it as off Thoroughblade. So I think 2 is good that you open it. 2 Crow. Reason you play 2 and 2 is because this has crossover against like Sky Striker and other matchups. 1 Nibiru, kind of weird, I know, don't laugh, but I feel like the card is not that great. Most of the decks can play through it, and then just like having 1 allows you to draw into it with Phantasmate or like in your opening hand, and then you don't like, I don't know, I feel like it's underwhelming. I feel like a lot of the other hand traps are better, so like Ash or whatever, I feel like all those cards are better, they're more impact. Nibiru is just like, sometimes it hurts them, sometimes it doesn't. And then 3, Retaliating Sea. Guys, Prank Kids 1, the YCS, they're playing Pandemonium, they're playing Polymerization. This card on a Prank Kid like extender is just game. They banish the cards, they don't get anything. Works against Shaddolls as well. Works against Drytron as well, because when they ritual summon, they use a ritual spell. Boom, they banish all their materials and they banish the spell. So I said, why not? Let's try 3. And then, of course, the 3 Shared Ride going first. I did cut DD Ground because I feel like this deck already has a good matchup against Tri-Brigade. D to Ground was really only that good against that deck. And then, like, against Shadal's, obviously, I already have these. And, like, D to Ground, that's the only matchup that I'm essentially hurting myself to play the Retaliating Seat. But I felt like the matchup was already so good because you play so many hand traps. And inherently, your engine, just like the Zeus engine, is just, like, very good matchup against that deck. So I was like, you know what? We can cut D to Ground, play more spells like Shared Ride. Should do the job. And then Retaliating Sea. Obviously, these cards, broken cards. In French, you can negate traps and then wipe your opponent's board. Against Tri-Brigade, you do this on Revolt, make a Zeus, it's usually game. And of course, yeah, Shared Ride is just generically good going first. You get to draw cards. It's a blanket effect. Against Drytron, it stops your turn, which is what you want. You want to push for damage against Drytron matchup, right? Because turn 1, you make Vespinato, and then you want to set a Shared Ride. They have to pass their turn because they don't want to overextend. Next turn, you make another Vespinato. You crack them for 5k, and then you make a Zeus. And then, like, they have to win on that following turn or do something, or you win, right? So, like, if I have another Shared Ride or another hand trap and I hinder their turn, it makes it really hard for them. That's how you win that matchup. It's more of a tempo-based game. In the YCS, I played a couple of Drytrons. I think everything I covered in the MST video, obviously, didn't top because bad tiebreakers. My buddy Julian that beat me, his internet died on day 2, so he was X1 with Lair, and then went X4. So I was like, ooh, that sucks. Sucks more than for him than me, honestly, because he probably would have topped. But yeah, this deck's pretty dope. You guys got to check it out. Try it on Dueling Book. It's not as brainless as you would think it is. It's actually quite hard. You have to know like when to overlay for how many materials, what plays to do, what sequencing to do. But it requires very tight play, but it can be very rewarding. It's very easy. It's very customizable. You can, aside from the Zoo engine, like all the hand traps, you know, you can make room for what you want to play. So yeah, it's very, very... I thought it was a lot of fun. I definitely want to try some other decks because this deck does get kind of boring sometimes, but, you know, it is what it is. It's a lot of fun. It's a good matchup against Tri-Brigade and fair matchup against the rest of the playing board. So, because Zeus is so powerful. Let me know what you guys think about the deck, and if you have any suggestions, also leave a dislike and subscribe to me. I will definitely be making more videos. Ciao for now. See ya guys later.